slut red raspberries in Chardonnay jelly, and I knew I wanted to make it because it sounded so terrific, but I thought no recipe could live up to that title. Luckily I was wrong, because I think this surpasses it. These raspberries, about 300 grams, have been steeped in a bottle of Chardonnay, and you can begin to see why these are called slut red raspberries, because the thing about the wine is that as the berries steep in it, they take on almost like a sort of stained glass quality, lucent. And it's not just that, it's also that their sort of very raspberryness is enhanced as well. I mean, this is so fabulous, and their fruitiness goes into the floral wine, and it just tastes, when you eat it, like, I don't know, essence of summer. Okay, just shove that there. And a vanilla pod goes into this. That old-fashioned nursery scent of vanilla just permeates through the liquid. Just split it lengthways, stick it into the wine, just turn on the heat, let it come to a boil, and then just leave off the heat for 15 minutes so that all those wonderful fruity, floral and spicy flavours just merge into one another. So while this is going on, I'm going to fill up these little glass bowls with the berries. And you could use one large bowl, it's just you get that perfect soft set quality with the jelly better when you have a small container. Now, I'm going to pour some cold water in here for a purpose, and that purpose is that I want to soften my gelatin in the cold water before dissolving it into the hot wine. I don't know if you've come across this before. This is leaf gelatin, which comes in kind of rigid, see-through, hard strips, a bit like sort of plastic cardboard. I'm only using 5 leaves because I want a lovely soft set, so that when you dip your spoon into the jelly, you get that really voluptuous, soft, cool wibble-wobble in the spoon. Well, that just needs a few minutes to soften and gellify in the cold water before being dissolved in this lovely warm wine, which needs to be sweetened. About 250 grams of caster sugar, which dissolves better than granulated. And turn the heat back on gently just to help the sugar dissolve. I'm going to remove the pod, but don't throw it away. Never be wasteful. Just let it dry and just stick it in a bag of caster sugar. And you've got vanilla sugar. Right, so the gelatin is ready to be dissolved in the wine. It's easier to dissolve it first in a smaller amount, so I don't take out a third, thereabouts. I use the term loosely. And now squidge and squelch. Look at this. And just drop it into the jug and whisk to dissolve. That's it. Pour back in here, so you've got the whole lot. Now, because there is more than a touch of Norman wisdom about me, I'm going to pour this into a jug first, because I think if I start trying to fill up those little bowls from a pan, it'll go all over the tray. And just pour this wonderful scented floral wine over the berries. Just go into the fridge, I don't know, 5 hours or so to set. I always think it's a good idea, though, to take them out a good 40 minutes before you want to eat them, because you want this as soft and melting as possible. I mean, these are lovely just as they are, but what I particularly adore is after you've taken that first soft spoonful, just fill up that dip with some double cream and just let it swirl over. I mean, old-fashioned perfection, jellies and cream. If you're as much of a rhubarb addict as I am, you will be weepingly grateful for this fool. It's an old-fashioned English summer in pudding form, vanilla-scented, rhubarb-rippled and totally dreamy. You need 500 mils of cream whipped. You want it lusciously thick but not stiff. And this here started life off as a kilo of rhubarb, which I cut into logs and just put in a baking tray with 300 grams of vanilla sugar, covered with foil and then roasted for about an hour. And I just strained it and forked it into a puree. Just gently fold in. You don't need to do much of this because the whole point is to have the smoothness of the cream rippled with the tart fruit. You don't want this one pink homogeneous mousse. And this is the thing which I think makes all the difference. The juices that the rhubarb made when it roasted, I reduced. It's going to pour some of this cooled pink goo in. Tastes like boiled sweets. And again, fold gently. A bit more rippling. And then little gentle filling of glasses. I love how it's feathered with the pink. Sometimes I want to go the holy way of the noodle, steamed veg and seared fish. At other times, only chocolate will do. And in this mood, I have to have my chocolate pavlova. So that's 6 egg whites, which need to be whisked till they're gleaming and satiny. Now this is the stage, and I want to start adding the sugar. Can you see these beautiful white, smooth, satiny peaks? This is why a pavlova is called a pavlova. It was created in honour of Anna Pavlova, the ballerina, after a no doubt fabulous performance in Swan Lake. And this is her bending over with all her tulle. But first the sugar, because meringue really is just sugar and egg whites. 300 grams of sugar for the 6 egg whites. Just add a spoonful at a time, serenely, slowly, unworriedly. The last bit in 1. I am not much of a scientist. In fact, my school report said that I managed rather well considering I had absolutely no flair for the subject. But I do know that if you add vinegar to a meringue base when you're making a pav, it ensures that the inside stays gooey and marshmallowy while the outside crisps up. And this is what we want. And this is where Anna Pavlova's gleaming white swan gets turned into the mucky duck version of the pav. Cocoa, beautiful brown dust, 3 spoonfuls. Sieve it, because otherwise you will get horrible grainy lumps. Wonderful Aztec hillside I'm making here. I made the chocolate pav simply because I am so addicted both to making and eating pavlova. I just thought one day I wanted to do something a bit different. And as Mae West said, too much of a good thing can be wonderful. So I added some chocolate, and it's this bit that makes the difference. So get the best dark chocolate you can, half a bar, about 50 grams, and chop it into wonderful dark splinters. And the point about this is that these little chocolate bits will stay molten like nuggets of melting chocolate in the meringue. Add these to the cocoa dusted meringue and serenely and confidently fold in the cocoa, vinegar and chocolate. Just keep turning the spoon round and down until everything is gently combined. And now I'm ready to mound the meringue onto the tin. I find that if you dollop teeny bits of meringue onto the tin, it keeps the paper from moving about when you're actually building up the pav base. And then mound pleasurably, slowly, as smooth as you go. The trick with the pavlova, along with the vinegar, is that when you put it in the oven, you put it in at a much hotter temperature than you normally would with a meringue, 180, which is gas mark 4. And the minute it goes in, you turn it down to gas mark 2, 150. And this means that the outside sears to a sudden crisp, but the inside cooks slowly and gently, so you have that brown, melting, gooey marshmallow interior. Smooth this down. This will need about an hour and a quarter to cook, and then once it's cool I can slather it with cream and cover it with raspberries. Well, the meringue base has been out of the oven and should be cooled and is beautiful. Don't be alarmed when you see these cratery splinters. It's meant to be like that. Not least because you can now see all these lovely gooey bits of dark chewy chocolate underneath the crust. And anyway, this is not conveyor belt cookery, it's home food. It's meant to look like this. On top of the dusty cocoa layer, a fat, gleaming wodge of double cream. I wouldn't worry about doing this too neatly, just sort of splosh it on. Then all it needs on top is a sort of tumbling layer of raspberries, all crimson matteness. Fabulous. And here they come. And finally, a bit of dark chocolate, just roughly shaved over. I have a weakness for all pavs, but especially this darkly glowing beauty. This is very easy to make and very easy to eat. There is one difficult piece in between, and that's actually cutting it, but greed finds a way. There is just something about homemade strawberry ice cream. It's the taste of blue skies and of sun on your shoulders. The childhood we all wish we had. I've got 500 grams of strawberries here, just roughly chopped with a couple of spoonfuls of sugar sprinkled over. And I want to blitz these now. So not completely liquid, but nubbly and red and mushed up. I'm just going to leave these here to let their strawberryness intensify while I get on with the ice cream base. In that pan, I've got half a litre each of milk and cream, warmly infusing with a vanilla pod, which I'm now going to remove. I'm done with it. And in here, I've got 10 egg yolks, which I know sounds like a lot, but I am making a huge batch of ice cream. On top of the egg yolks goes 175 grams of caster sugar. Whisk the sugar into the yolks. Whisk this in. And then back into the pattern. Don't be alarmed of making ice cream at home. It is no big deal. It's just a question of reheating this, gently stirring just for about 5 minutes or so until it thickens slightly. And that's just how I want it now. Can you see? Not that thick, slightly thickened, with beautiful pale primrose. And while this is cooling down, I'm going to entertain myself with a little light clearing up. Perfect, cold, and now, I love this bit. One primrose, one red, shortly to be one united pink. Just fold the strawberries in. And there is one final thing, and it makes such a difference. The juice of half a lemon. I can't tell you what this does. All the flavours spring into action. It makes all the difference in the world, and it means you can make this, as I have, in bleakest February with long-haul imported strawberries, and it tastes of mid-June. Tubs away. So it goes in here and in the deep freeze, and then we are frankly 2 blitzes away from the most deliriously perfect ice cream in the world.